Let me tell you, if you're in a fake marriage, which means you're not really intending to be married, you're just doing it to get a green card, I'm sure you could figure out a way to generate some letters from people saying that, oh yeah, I promise this is a real marriage. That's not very persuasive. The officer is looking to feel that this is a real marriage. This looks real to me. I don't even need them to come in. I've seen they went camping. I see they have a dog together. I see that they're celebrating birthday with the wife's parents' family. Hey guys, so today I want to talk about how you can increase the chances of USCIS approving your green card without an interview. And there are a few things I want to talk about here. First of all, let me start by saying there are many categories of family petition that routinely do not have an interview when you're applying for adjustment of status in the United States. For example, if you're a US citizen and you're petitioning for your minor US citizen child, usually there's no interview. And same thing if you're a US citizen applying for your parents to adjust status in the US. Usually there's no interview. And why is that? Well, it makes a lot of sense. You don't need to prove that relationship with them. There is sometimes an exception if you are the father petitioning for a child and you were not married to that child's mother before that child reached the age of 18. In that case, USCIS might actually schedule an interview, or more likely, they'll just ask for evidence that you and the child had a father-child relationship while the child was still a minor. The reason these categories of petitions routinely avoid an interview is because you can prove that family relationship with just a birth certificate. You can prove that these people are your parents by submitting your birth certificate, which lists their name. There isn't much else there to prove. You can prove this is your child because your child's birth certificate lists you as the mother. And if you're the father and you were married to the mother, then you would submit a copy of your marriage certificate as well, generally speaking. But the purpose of this video is to really discuss how to avoid an interview if you're petitioning for your spouse. Spouses are unique in that there is no birth certificate to prove your marital status, and if you've ever been married before, you'll see how easy it is to get a marriage certificate. You know, it's 20 to 40 bucks and wait 72 hours and boom, you're married. It's kind of ridiculous that you can enter such a life-changing contract with such little upfront obligation, but that's a topic for another video. Marriages are notorious for having green card interviews because the officers want you to prove that you're in a good faith marriage. As a side note, what exactly is a good faith marriage? Well, it actually really depends. You know, some people might think that a good faith marriage means that you guys have known each other for a long time and know the ins and outs of each other. But actually, that's not always the case. There are some cultural reasons, for example, in some parts of India, where a good faith marriage is determined by the parents who have arranged for their children to get married. And oftentimes these children, historically, didn't even really meet beforehand. Now I understand that's changed a lot, but USCIS officers are supposed to be trained on these cultural differences that different cultures may have for their own specific marriages. But anyway, I digress. Back to the original topic, how do you avoid an immigration interview when you're married to your spouse and petitioning for their green card? So I've made a lot of videos on how to submit the best evidence to prove that you're in a good faith marriage. But the truth of it is that every marriage is very different. And you can look at the I-130 filing instructions, which will suggest a bunch of evidence, and most of it isn't really great or gonna persuade a USCIS officer that you're in a good faith marriage. For example, one of the things they suggest that a lot of clients insist on submitting is letters from people who will attest to how long you've known each other and that you're in a good faith marriage. Well, Let me tell you, if you're in a fake marriage, which means you're not really intending to be married, you're just doing it to get a green card, I'm sure you could figure out a way to generate some letters from people saying that, oh yeah, I promise this is a real marriage. That's not very persuasive. What I have found to be really persuasive is unique evidence that can show that you and your spouse have done stuff together and have plans for the future. So one thing I really like to submit, in addition to photographs, is a timeline explaining those photographs. So the way I will often do it is I'll ask my clients for all of their pictures together from however long they've known each other. And then I'll ask them to put 2 on each page of a Word document. And at the top of that Word document, on the top of each page, write a brief description of what the officer is looking at there. For example, anniversary 2023, or summer vacation with family 2023. Whatever it may be, just put a brief description and the photographs that follow. This way, the officer can see clearly what your timeline has been together. And hopefully, a lot of those photographs include friends or family, or you guys doing stuff on vacation, or unique things that are difficult to fake. After all, who's gonna introduce their fake spouse to their friends and family in a bunch of different settings over multiple years or months or whatever, however long your relationship may be? The officer is looking to feel that this is a real marriage. This looks real to me. I don't even need them to come in. I've seen they went camping. I see they have a dog together. I see that they're celebrating birthday with the wife's parents' family. You know, these are difficult things to fake. But on the other hand, I've seen people submit photographs of them just them two, wearing different clothes in different settings. That's not very persuasive by itself. You know, I've seen people submit bank account statements that go back a year or even 2 years, but there aren't many transactions. There's like 3 transactions a month. They tend to be recurring transactions. Not persuasive at all. You're not showing a complete picture that you're really mixing your finances together or that you're sharing your lives together. You know, if you've ever been to an amusement park or an Airbnb or a hotel, or if you've ever taken a flight together, this is unique evidence to submit with your application. You know, Disney World, submit tickets that you went together, submit the plane flight itinerary showing you guys flew down to attend, some pictures from the events and from the rides or whatever you did while you were there. That shows that you guys really did stuff together. I've made many other videos where I go through a lot of the evidence. You guys can check those out if you want ideas on good faith evidence to submit that will make your application stronger. But ultimately, it comes down to the USCIS officer who's looking at the application. Recently, I've seen people with really strong applications get scheduled for an interview. I've seen other people who had slightly weaker evidence get approved with no interview. There are a lot of different variables at stake. A lot of it's gonna just come down to how the USCIS officer feels about the evidence that they're looking at. They might just approve your case, you'll get an approval notice, and then your green card will arrive 2 weeks later in the mail, or you'll get scheduled for an interview. Either way, what I tell my clients is, don't worry if there's an interview. This is obviously a good faith marriage. We will document it as well as we can, and you'll answer the questions that you know the answers to at your interview, and the rest is out of your hands and it will be fine. And to date, it's been fine. So generally speaking, don't stress out about the interview, and just, you know, if you really want to do everything you can, prepare with an attorney as soon as you get your interview appointment notice, or better yet, submit the whole application with an attorney. All right, guys, so that brings us to the end of today's video. As always, if you need assistance with this process, you know, green card petitions for spouses is something that I focus a lot of my practice on, so feel free to reach out. I would be happy to assist you or represent you throughout the entire process. If you're new to my channel, you should know that I do respond to comments where if you have a specific question about the video or really any immigration topic, specifically family-based immigration, you could leave it in the comments below, and within 1 week of posting the video, I respond to all of the comments. Otherwise, if you have comments weeks after this video posts, you should post them on my most recent video because that is the video where I'm gonna be responding to the comments and answering people's questions. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.